So today will be our last trig lesson this year. We're going to talk specifically about the sine and cosine of complementary angles. We should all be aware that the three angle measures of a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. So in triangle ABC, we have the equation written that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is equal to 180 degrees. Everybody should be aware that that's true. In this right triangle here, the right angle is at vertex A. So since a right angle measures 90 degrees, I could put 90 in for the measure of angle A and then subtract 90 from both sides to get this true statement that the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is equal to 90. Well, when two angles measures have a sum of 90, those angles are called complementary angles. And it's always going to be true in a right triangle that the two angles that are not the right angles are going to have a sum of measures equal to 90. We've learned that sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So in this diagram, the side that's opposite angle B is lowercase b, and the side that is the hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle, is side A. So I can write that as b over a. Well, the cosine we've memorized is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent to C is B, and the hypotenuse is still A. So if we look at this closely here, the sine of B is B over A, and the cosine of C is B over A. Since they're both equal to the same ratio, we're allowed to conclude that the sine of B is equal to the cosine of C. So in general, if we know that the measures of two angles have a sum of 90, then we know that the sine of one of them is equal to the cosine of the other. And that's the point of today's lesson. So let's try an example problem. Here we're given that the sine of A is equal to the cosine of B. As soon as we see any situation where the sine of one angle is equal to the cosine of the other angle, we need to be aware of the fact that those angles are complementary angles. We're also given that the measure of angle A is represented by 3x plus 2, and that the measure of angle B is equal to 5x minus 1. And we're asked to find the value of x. So, as we said, since the sine of A is equal to the cosine of B, these angles are complementary, which means their measures add up to 90. So the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is equal to 90. When I substitute in, I can put 3x plus 2 in for the measure of angle A, 5x minus 1 in for the angle of B. When I combine like terms, 3x and 5x is 8x, 2 and negative 1 is positive 1. To solve, I subtract 1 from both sides of the equation, then divide by 8 on both sides of the equation. I wasn't told to round, I was just asked to find the value of x, so I could say that x is equal to 11.125, or if you'd rather write that as a mixed number, you could write it as 11 and 1/8. So you have a worksheet to try a few examples involving this concept. Good luck.